Okay, welcome back, everyone, to The Boiling Point, episode 27. The truth is out there. Of course, you all know I like to have fun with the titles of my episodes. This is by no means making fun of aliens or space travel or anything like that. It's just for amusement purposes, a little play with the X-Files there. My guest on this episode is Mark Whitcomb. I can call him Uncle Mark. You can't. He is an author, illustrator, and he restores Indian artifacts. You can email him if you are interested or you have artifacts that need to be restored. You can email him at restoreit@ymail.com. Uncle Mark,
Hi, good
welcome to the
morning.
show.
Hi. I'll give a brief introduction. My name is Mark Whitcomb. I'm an author and an illustrator, researcher. I restore Indian artifacts. And tonight we're going to do a little bit of a talk on UFOs and what I've learned and what I've discovered through my research. So, first off, I guess the reason I got interested in UFOs was back when I was a kid. Now, this was in the 70s. And where we read in the UFO literature was that if you blinked your headlights 3 times at these lights flying in the air, that they would contact you. Well, my friend and I, we were out driving in the nighttime, and we saw an odd light that was behaving bizarrely, and we blinked our headlights at it 3 times. And we lost 10 minutes of time. We don't know what happened. But when we suddenly realized what happened, my friend was in a horrid state of panic. He could hardly drive anymore. In fact, he had to pull over. I had to drive. I don't know what happened during that time or during that interval, but apparently something weird happened. The thing came low and a blue beam shot out of it, and then we were back on the highway, and that's all we really remembered about it. But that really quickened my interest in UFOs in general, and I started to research them. Now, after probably 30 years of research, I've come to the conclusion that these are interdimensional beings. They're not from other planets. They're interdimensional. Now, Vale, Halley, even Whitney Schreiber, they all agree and concur after all their years of research that these are interdimensional beings. They're not interplanetary. Now, that doesn't mean there isn't beings on other planets. God, in His abundance, creates various multiple things, and I believe that He probably has other civilizations and other beings on other planets, but I think we're too far away at this point to really interact, so to speak. Now, these beings that we see, if you go back to the 70s and the 80s, or even further back, first they claim they're from Venus and they're from Mars, and the problem there is we didn't know anything about Venus or Mars. Now, when we discovered Venus and we discovered Mars and looked at and saw what kind of planetary bodies they were, then they changed their tune and, oh, we're interplanetary now. We come from the Pleiades. We come from beyond this. What we see continuously is deception. They deceive, they lie all the time. Uh, there's a real interesting video that the government has of an alien that is probably, now I know there's a lot of fake ones, but this is probably a real one. And the investigator is truly a professional. Now, the thing lies through the whole encounter. In fact, at the end, the investigator just gives up on it because he knows he's lying. First, he tells him he's interplanetary. Then he tells him that he's from Earth, that he's from our future. And the thing's just riddled with lies and deception. And that's been a basis of their prognosis for since I've been able to research this. There's always contradictory things.
Now, this video that you're saying, that's the WikiLeaks video that you had sent to me, right?
Yes, that's a
All right,
Wikileaks
and
video.
the web address for everybody, if you'd like to see this video, should be up on the screen right now. So make sure I encourage you to check that out. I've watched it; it's definitely an interesting video, worth the watch. It's only a few minutes, so it doesn't take that long.
You'll see he contradicts himself. He says he knows the answer to questions, but doesn't give you the answers to them, and it's just it's basic deception, and that's the thing that demonics do repeatedly is they deceive, and I'm convinced that there are interdimensional beings. Now, there are degrees of evil, and not all of them are strictly totally evil in our understanding. They're all beyond redemption, I believe. They're all negativity. In their genetics, if you want to call it genetics, they have no real body per se. Now, I think the grays and that stuff, I think that they're basically symbiotes. They're synthetic beings. They're programmed to do a certain thing, and if you throw them a curveball, they don't know how to react. They tend to go to pieces. But the interesting thing, and even with Whitney Schreiber, he described them as being demonic after like the third or fourth book that he wrote on it, and all the different encounters he had with them. Uh, the the main, I guess the main gist of it is some of them appear to be benevolent toward us. They're not destructive in what they communicate, and other ones are just out and out destructive and seek our death, to put it bluntly. Now, the only thing that I find rather curious is every attempt to stop abductions, and abductions are a real thing. Abductions happen. Uh, the only thing that I've seen that ever stopped an alien abduction is the name of Jesus. Jesus Christ is the only thing that they flee from. Now, if they're a regular being or something, why does the name and the command of Jesus make them panic? They'll leave. They'll leave immediately as soon as you mention it and cry out to Jesus. They leave. They're gone. And the only way that they've ever stopped them from ever returning and harassing these people is by using the name of Jesus. So that says a lot in itself. First off, it lends a lot of validity and truth to the scriptures themselves, and it lends a lot of validity and absolute truth to who Jesus is. So I found that was probably one of the most interesting aspects of all the research I did with UFOs. Now, they come in lots of different sizes and appearances. Some of them look a lot like us, and some of them are just horrible looking things. But in my research and what I've found with in agreement with all the researchers that have done it for years and years, these are interdimensional beings. They're not from the Pleiades, and they're not from our solar system, way out in the galaxy.
So you're saying these sightings and these alien abductions are not from people within or beings from within this universe? Like you said, they're not interplanetary. They're not from this universe. You're saying they're interdimensional.
Correct. Now, the world is a multiverse. In other words, there's it's like an onion. There's layers upon layers and upon layers. And if we're in a certain vibrational frequency, and if you're in this vibrational frequency and you can go like this, you can merge into another dimension. And if you can slow that down, you'll go to another dimension. You'll go to another universe. So, there's vast universes, but they need, in order to come in, if they're vibrating at this frequency and they need to slow it down to this frequency to come into our zone, or they need to speed it up to get into our realm of existence, they need a fuel and energy source to do so. And blood apparently is a particularly potent and viable source for them to be able to interact with our realm and our reality. Now, how long it'll keep them energized enough to interact in our dimension, I don't know. That's anybody's guess. But apparently, blood is the ultimate energy source for them to enter into our zone of existence.
So when you say blood, do you mean our blood or their own blood?
I'm talking about human blood, animal blood.
So how does the interdimensional being get the energy to come into our dimension with our blood if they're not here to begin with, then? Or do they like use their energy to get here and then they use blood to maintain their stay?
Yeah, that's where the sacrifice, the blood sacrifices come in. I think a lot of
they almost have to be summoned.
Well,
So
if they can't get you, I think they get someone to give them enough to get them in here. Then I think they steal it from the cattle or animals or wherever they can get it,
okay.
basically. But it appears that that is the ultimate energy source for them to be able to enter our dimensional realm and our vibrational frequency and hold it. Now, a lot of times they can only hold it momentarily, and if you watch UFOs, especially in the sky, you'll see them blink in and out, and you'll see them where they try to morph into our realm of existence, and there may be other energy sources. I don't know, but I know that they utilize blood. So
this is very interesting. We are going to take a brief intermission, and if you want to continue watching with Uncle Mark, who has definitely got some much more interesting information, I can't wait to hear more. Then you need to switch over to Rumble right now, because if you're watching on YouTube, you have reached all I'm willing to share on YouTube, because they don't like my content. So if you want to keep watching the episode, and I encourage you to do so, switch over to Rumble right now. But in the meantime, YouTube, you can piss off.